5, 7, 1, 2, 3.
Hi, this is Pods and Ends, the junk drawer of pop culture and geek podcasts.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pods and Ends 2018 Year in Review. This is your main host, Brian.
I'm Shelby.
It's Sophie.
And on Phil!
The crowd goes wild.
Alright, so this week we are going to do the 2018 year in review. What we're basically going to do is go through each of our segments. We're going to talk about current interests in said segments, but then we're going to talk about sort of our highlights of last year. And to start things off, why don't we do What's Your Jam? Far out, man. What's your jam? Shelby, what's your jam?
Oh, well, I think we both share What's Your Jam?
Yeah, we
this
could
week.
probably go doubles for
Yes.
this one.
It's Into the Spider-Verse.
Soundtrack.
I'm hearing good things about this.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
So
there's
we saw
really
the
nothing
movie
wrong
first.
with that movie at all.
You could listen to it before the movie, and it's not going to
Yeah,
spoil
yeah.
anything, obviously, but it's so good.
It really is. It's honestly like not even really my type of music, but for some reason I can just really get down on it.
Oh, it's my type of music.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
definitely
love it.
Shelby's type of music. But
What does that
we
mean?
listen to it. It's just, I listen to mostly like rock and metal, and it's not in that space. It's more in the like R&B, hip hop, rap, electronic space. So it's more her jam, but I've adopted it as my jam. But yeah, we listened to it like at least, I don't know, 20 times through.
It
when we were
definitely
on
makes
vacation.
makes you feel like a superhero as you're driving down the road.
Yeah, and it really invokes the movie, and they're just really good songs. And one of them's Post Malone. I do like me some Post Malone.
Got some Juice WRLD.
Yeah, the emo rap at its finest.
I love it.
Gotta love
Yeah.
an emo rap.
I'm literally
It's-
speechless.
It's good stuff, man. I'm telling you. I honestly, though, the funny thing is, if I hadn't seen and enjoyed the movie, I probably wouldn't like most of it. I'd probably still like the Post Malone song, but rather than the rest.
I think that's why you don't like A Star Is Born music.
Honestly, yeah. If A Star Was Born was like about metal, I'd probably really like.
Well, I'm trying to say is, I think if you had watched the movie first before hearing the songs, I think you'd like the songs.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. It's still whiny country.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, back to the jam.
What's not your jam? Anything from A Star Is Born. Over to you guys.
Stop it. That's good stuff.
Okay, anyway, seriously. Phil, Soph, one of you take the helm.
What are you listening to right now?
Right now, I'm listening to Jimin and his new solo track.
Where's he from? Is he from Korea by any
He
chance?
is, he is actually. Funny you should say that, Phil. It's just shocking, isn't it? No, it's very much my jam at the moment. As I've said on this podcast many times, I've been into a band. You may or may not have heard of them. They're just a small little band called BTS. They're basically everywhere at the moment. They were literally
True.
playing in a one of our clothes shops the other day, which was really surreal because it's the first time I've ever heard them. Like when you hear a bit of K-pop out in the wild in the UK, it's really, really strange.
In the wild.
It just doesn't happen. So, but BTS they have achieved that. But anyway, right towards the end of 2018, Jimin just slid out a little solo track, and it's really, really good. I like all of their
Deaf
solo
people like it, I
stuff. Don't be obnoxious. It's good. It's really nice and chilled. It shows off his vocals well. He does have a really, really nice voice, and I like all of their solo stuff. They sort of, that's something quite cool about the band, is that when they release their own tracks, they've all got their own. I mean, there's 7 of them. There's 7 very different people with very different music styles, and when they release their solo stuff, it's quite cool. And so I've been listening to Jimin's at the moment, and I've been really loving it. What about you, Phil?
Shimmy to the left if you're having a good time. Shimmy to the right. Whoa.
Somebody to the left, having a good time.
Shake
What
it to
is
the right.
happening over there?
Give it to the front.
Okay.
I see ya. Hold tight.
You need to give some context to this.
So,
don't you?
me and Safe are going to see the Spice Girls. So I'm all
That's
about
a
the Spice
Spice
Girls at the
Girls
moment.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was. You wouldn't have picked it up though from that little rendition.
If you want to be my lover, gotta get with my friends.
That one I know.
So you're gonna
When?
go see the Spice Girls?
We are 4 of them. Because Posh
which
isn't
one's
coming
not
back because she's too posh for it now.
Posh isn't. Yeah. So I've got saved some tickets for Christmas, and we're
Yeah.
gonna go. And so just making sure I know all the dance moves and all the songs now.
See if you
Really?
can remember them all.
Is
Yeah.
Posh the one that's with the soccer guy?
Yeah.
Yes.
The soccer
Oh.
guy. Except for Beckham.
He's like Dave Beckham. He's literally like as important as the Queen in this country.
Well,
He probably gets more headlines.
Think
You are
we're
a small
joking as
country,
well. We're really not. But yeah, she's the one with David Beckham. I'm a bit annoyed because we were talking about going as each of them in the little group of us that are going, and obviously Phil would be Ginger Spice. And
Yeah,
my girl was
sexy
always
one.
yeah, right. My girl was always Sporty Spice, but one of the other girls wants to go as her, so I don't know. And they were like, "Oh, you could be Baby Spice," but I was like, "I don't relate to Baby Spice, so I don't know. I don't know where this leaves me."
Do they have an
The
annoying Spice?
quintessential, like, whenever your friends like something that you do and you all want to say who you associate with more, and they
Yeah.
get the jump on you and say the thing that you most relate to, and you're like, but I am also
right.
that.
And you don't want to come in with, yeah, me too. Then
Yeah.
You look like a joke.
Or we both just insist on going as Sporty Spice, and there'll be 2 Sporty Spice. I'm not even that sporty either. It's just because I had dreadful taste in clothes.
There's 5 of us going, so
Yeah. And how many members are there?
there's 4 members.
Has there always only been 4
Well, someone has to go
members?
as Posh, but Posh ain't going to be there, so it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's my jam, basically. Spice Girls, you know, really relevant and on point.
Yeah.
All right, so what about for the entire year of 2018 then?
For me, it's Korean pop.
Just in general?
Shall we just do ours together
Particularly
as well?
a small band called Momoland. Very nice. They've probably only got 3 songs that have been released so far, but
So good.
they captured my heart.
It's the year Phil became
Aw.
a Mary.
Yeah. And it's true that you can just get roped into watching too many YouTube videos about them doing ridiculous things. But it happens.
gosh.
So I've done it. You know, I'm admitting it. That is the highlight of my 2018 Momoland.
And which song of theirs is your favourite out of the 3 songs that they've got released at the moment?
To be honest, it's been about 3 hours since I've watched one of them. So,
Bam!
boom,
Or boom, boom.
bam,
We're not,
bam.
yeah, we're not really doing them just. Honestly, you
What
need
is
to listen.
happening?
You need to listen to Momoland. They are just incredible. I actually find them really good for working out too, as well.
Yeah, they build
They're
up in
good,
there. Yeah.
yeah.
And they got really good dance moves.
Yes.
And they're amazing, all of them.
Yeah.
Apart
Yeah.
from... And they're all amazing.
I was gonna say they're all amazing, basically.
Yeah, love them.
Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Soph? What? You're
Well,
not
let's-
you're not allowed to
let's keep
speak
it-
about Korean
No.
things.
It's tough. Okay, we're keeping it to the Korean country here. I'm gonna just sort of branch out a little bit. So at the beginning of the year, my favorite K-pop band and one of my favorite bands are Big Bang, and pretty much all of them went into the military at the start of the year. And before they went in, or actually just as they were going in, they released a final single, which was to sort of go off the back of their album that came out last year, which was called Flower Road. And it's sort of about their journey as they go away. It's a really strange thing, I guess, for them to all have to wrap their heads around the fact that, you know, on something that's, you have to be so relevant in the music industry, and then they're just going to go for 2 years. So the song's kind of about that road that they're heading down, and, you know, will they see us at the end of it? Are people going to wait for them, or will they move on? And it was really, I know it goes a little bit deep, but like, they're obviously all turning 30, and that's kind of when they've decided to go into the military. I think you can, like, you go in at about, the latest is 31, 32, something like that over there. So I was 30 in the summer as well, and a lot of their songs from the like past year kind of really stuck with me on that, because, you know, it's a big deal to turn 30. It's an age where people think you should be having your life together. So,
Right.
yeah, it's and I found that they were particularly helpful. So for me, it was Big Bang, but in particular Flower Road, which is obviously their final farewell until hopefully the end of this year when they come back out.
I turned 30 in the summer too.
Yeah.
9 years ago.
Which 30?
And it wasn't
It's
the
a hard
summer.
one.
It's
Yeah.
always the winter.
I know, but I was, you're that age for the whole year, so whatever.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Joke is I'm old. Anyway, I'm going to be lame, and my jam is the same for the year and current because honestly, I can't really think of much other music, so poo-poo on me.
That's okay. I have a different one.
Do it.
I would say my jam for the year is Eminem's new album, Kamikaze.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
For sure. I mean, Spotify basically told me, like, yes, this is all you listen to.
Spotify was like, don't think about it. Here it is.
But I also enjoy Killshot a lot. The beef.
The diss track, bruh.
Yeah.
Straight up diss track.
So, I guess it was kind of a rediscovering of my enjoyment of Eminem this year, which was really fun.
And again, I don't really listen to music, so I'm just going to go with Into the Spider-Verse because it's great and it's all I can remember. And that's What's Your Jam? So now let's transition into Off the Shelf.
Turn off the television. In fact, why don't you turn off all the lights except for the one over your favourite chair? It's time for Off the Shelf.
So, since you're the resident book nerd, what is your current Off the Shelf?
Well, my current Off the Shelf, I would say, is actually going to be my one for the year. So I will just take you back to last week, which was I finally got around to reading Dark Disciple by Christy Golden, which has been out for, I think it's been out for a couple of years now. It's basically there were going to be 3 episodes of the Clone Wars, weren't there, that were, or something. There was a Ventress arc that got cut from the Clone Wars that they then said, we'll write the book. So it's Ventress and Quinlan Vos and what happens when the two meet and fall in love. And I thought it was a really cool book. I absolutely tore through it, which normally I can be a bit of a painfully slow reader, but you read this one as well, haven't you, Brian?
Yes. Yeah, I actually...
Yes.
I really like it. It's definitely top 5 new canon. I think part of why I liked it so much is because I had no expectations, or maybe even poor expectations for it. I don't really care for Quinlan Vos. Like, he's whatever. I didn't really like Ventress, so I had no skin in the game. It was during the I must read all canon phase. I mean, if it came out right now, I would not buy it.
Yeah.
Just because nothing about it interested me. But since I was basically making myself read everything, I read it and, glad I did.
Yeah, when I went into it, I quite liked Ventress going into it, and I'd had nothing to do with Quinlan Vos. I didn't really know anything about him, apart from that, like, one time he rocked up in the Clone Wars. And I think what was quite cool about it was I didn't know the fate of either of those two. So the stakes did manage to feel quite high. It's only when, like, Obi-Wan's kicking around that you're like, well, we know he's fine. But that he wasn't really there to be in any kind of dangerous situations. But with those two, the stakes did feel quite high because I was like, I genuinely don't know what's going to happen here and how this is all going to pan out. So, yeah, that is my current Off the Shelf. I finished it. I'm glad I finally got around to reading it, and I really liked it.
Quite nice. So let's stick with ladies first. Shelby, what was your Off the Shelf?
Well, right now, because of my Netflix and chill, I'm reading the Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. Yes! And I'm loving it. And it gives me such a sense of joy and order.
It sparks joy for you.
It does spark joy for me.
Excellent.
I hold my iPad in my hand while I'm reading it, and it just sparks joy because I picture her saying this stuff, and it makes me really happy. I also think I'm going to be purchasing the manga version as well because I think that would be really fun to read.
Yeah, if it can capture even like an ounce of her personality, in manga form, it'll be amazing.
I think so. So that's really what I'm reading right now. I also discovered, and I don't know why I didn't think about this before, I really enjoy magazines, but what usually happens is they get delivered to my house and I put them in a stack and I forget about them and then they accumulate and then I say, oh, I'll keep these even though I have like 3 months of them to read because I'll read them, and then I don't, and then I throw them away. So I decided to start changing my subscriptions to digital. And I'm really
Yes.
enjoying it.
Digital.
To have,
Everyone
and it's
go
so cheap.
digital.
I got Martha Stewart Living, which is one of my favorite magazines. I know, shocker, right? And I got the digital subscription for less than the cost of one singular magazine at the grocery store for a whole year. And I really enjoy it, and I like that I can bookmark certain places, and also I think that's going to be really helpful whenever I want to look up a recipe and use it while I'm cooking, because then I'm not clipping something out of a magazine and keeping it somewhere. So I also think Marie Kondo would be very supportive of this venture.
Yeah, no clutter with that digital.
Although I feel like she needs to write a book about digital clutter, because
My book would be step 1, don't put files on your desktop.
yeah.
Step 2, check your freaking email.
Sorry.
Oh, you two.
Well, this is
would-
awkward.
I know, right?
They have a lot of unread emails in their inbox, and it drives me insane.
Yeah, it's
I've
a
lost
lot.
control. Yeah.
And then other than that, I've caught up on True Beauty, and it's amazing.
I have finally taken the plunge
And what do you think?
into Webtoon,
I'm so proud of you.
and I actually really enjoy it.
Told you.
Yes.
It's a cute little story. It reminds me of a lot of those slice of life anime. So yeah, it's fun. And I don't know. We actually saw someone on the airplane who looked like the main character with no makeup on. It was funny. It was really funny.
I know.
I kept looking at her and being like,
I bet you transform.
I know. I wanted to lean over and be like, hey, Suho likes you. But she probably would have been like, excuse me, sir, you're creeping me out.
Yeah.
So I didn't do it.
I'm glad you didn't.
But yeah, I think it's a cool premise. It's like kind of like an everyday ugly duckling. Instead of waiting
Aw.
to become the pretty swan, she just makes it happen and then has to clean it off.
So over to you, Phil.
Before I start on my off the show, I just need to say that Mrs. Kondo is literally my worst enemy.
I know, it's really hard for you.
I would
isn't
be one of
it?
those people that just had stacks of everything in my house and like
We need her.
walkways
We-
between
yeah.
rooms.
Oh, what if you didn't have me? And you're
They
like,
should
yeah,
do a
I
British
keep his
version.
clutter. Yeah, we do need her. Like, I try, but I'm battling against Phil's. Like, I'll find like a little bolt on the floor and be like, I'm just going to chuck this, and Phil will be like, no, we might need that for something later, or a little bit of plastic, or
I'm just sort
You're
of
not
guy
worried
that-
about where the bolt came from? What was this holding
No,
together? That would be my question.
I'm the sort of guy that if so says to me, I need a paperclip, I can say, if you go into the bedroom, look under the wheel of the bed or whatever, and there's a paperclip there. And there will be one because I know where everything is. It just looks messy. I'm just,
yeah.
So she's literally my enemy because it's like, oh, you've not used it in 6 months. You need to throw it away. No
We
chance.
have cupboard. There is a
Necessarily.
cupboard
She
that
doesn't,
we.
she doesn't believe in throwing everything away. You have to hold it
No.
and think about if that paperclip sparks joy, and then you need to see if you should put it in a little box somewhere.
Yeah, honestly.
We have a cupboard in our kitchen that we literally haven't been in about 3 years
What
because
cupboard?
behind the bike,
I know exactly what's in it.
and we have never used it. And I'm saying that every single thing in that cupboard could be chucked. And the face Phil's giving me right now, I've raised his blood pressure like
My
real.
heart rate is
Yeah, what is your heart rate?
it's like 400.
Well, I'm thinking right now of, we have 2 different food processors. One that's from me and one that's from Brian. Why do we need 2?
We should
Right.
Just in
see
case one breaks.
if one can
See, this
process
is-
the other.
Will
Oh
it
my
blend?
God. Like a robot wars.
That's a good way of breaking both of them.
Exactly.
So my off-the-shelf is autobiography that Safe bought with Christmas from Geraint Thomas, a Tour de France cyclist. He writes in a very humanic way. what? That's a way of saying humorous.
I didn't know if you meant like he was like he's very human and relatable.
Yeah.
Oh, he definitely is,
Yeah.
and he's
funny.
and he's funny, and it's easy reading. It's very short chapters, and he's got a certain way with words that just amuses me, and I'm very much enjoying it at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brian, what's yours?
For currently, it would probably be the same books I've been reading, but I won't dull you with that. For 2018, I have to go with Stephen King's The Outsider because it was Stephen King, therefore terrific. Secondly, though, it's a really good story. It kind of have a little bit of those ties to his greater Stephen King universe, but it's one of those murder mystery thriller, and then he brings in that otherworldly character that he has with so many of his stories, and it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot, and that is mine for this year.
Oh, I
This
forgot
past
to say,
year, I guess.
I forgot to say for my past year, it would definitely be Webtoons I Love You, you being YOO.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like top rated. I mean, it's very popular.
It's kind of
It's
a
kind
big
of
deal.
a big deal. I didn't mean it to sound that way. What I'm trying to say is I'm not very original in saying that's my favorite because that's probably a lot of people's favorite.
Hey, man, things are good for a reason.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
You don't have to be all hipster
I just
about it.
really like it. So if you're looking for new webtoons to read, definitely True Beauty, definitely I Love You.
Yeah.
Mine would be I'm quite hipster. I've got into cave paintings.
I'm really big into hieroglyphics lately. I
man
can't read
just
them,
becomes
but
so
I just like
popular.
to look at them and make up stories.
So mine would be
This is for the year.
the chimp paradox.
Ah.
Have either of you heard of that or read it? Or
I have not.
Mm-mm.
Please enlighten me, sir.
so at the beginning of the year, I thought I need to think about work and my sporting events and see if I can do things that can make me better. And this one was very much for both of them. So it's a look at your brain is split into different sections. One of the sections is a chimp, and the chimp sort of is in charge of you, and you need to manage your chimp, and how do you manage your chimp to make you better? And making a split-second decision is it is your chimp talking to you rather than your human brain talking to you. And a way of like looking at it, analysing it, and realising when you make a decision sometimes you need to take a step back and think before you act. Fight and flight. It's really excellent book.
I think the guy who wrote it worked with like the British cycling team, like around the Olympics, and I want to say he did a lot to do with this, and maybe Andy Murray as well in tennis and stuff.
Yeah.
Like he works with athletes to get them into the mindset of winning, basically.
Yeah, it's also how you treat people, how you speak
Yeah.
to people and stuff like that. So
But yeah, because it can be more every day. You're not just going to suddenly come off and become like a
yeah.
athlete for reading this book.
And yeah, it's
Oh, darn.
once again.
So I shouldn't just go get it and then try out for the NHL.
What I like is once again, it's short chapters. He gives you exercises at the end of them to think about. Okay, I spoke to someone. I made a decision today. Was that the decision that I did, or was it a decision that the chimp made me do?
Yeah.
And it makes you realise that you make a lot of impulse decisions. That is like a fight or flight decision.
Yeah.
And what is it the correct way?
Mm.
And it's just made me think about that a bit more. How I look into it. And yeah, going into 2019, I'll probably look at something a bit more boring, like business book or something, to make me think how I can become a better leader and manager of my people.
That's actually pretty
I need to progress in
fascinating,
my
though,
career.
The whole
Yeah.
chimp brain thing.
Well, it makes me think of the proverb about the two wolves, where there's one that emulates anger and jealousy and evilness, and then the other one is about good and truth and kindness, and both of those wolves live inside all of us. And the question is, well, which wolf lives? And it's
Yeah.
the one you feed.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it's a lot like the devil and angel on your shoulder too. There's a lot of
Yeah,
things you can equate to that, but
the only slight difference is that he does say that the chimp does make decisions that is also correct, and it's managing the chimp in the correct way.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
really
The chimp isn't
Yeah.
a bad thing. It's a natural part of you,
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah.
kind of it has to be there because we have to eat and survive and live.
We are
and
animals.
It's
Yeah,
that part
true.
of you, and then the human part has become the bit that is making relationships, building people, speaking to people correctly. Where back in the day, all you need to do is eat and sleep, and procrastinate, basically. Not procrastinate.
Procreate!
Procreate.
Although both.
All I do is eat, sleep, and procrastinate, basically. So my Trent brain is
Procrastinate sounds like
working
a good idea,
overtime.
Anyway, what about you, Soph? Let's wrap this section up.
My highlight for 2018 was the Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy by Sarah J. Maas. She was my first author that I've decided to kind of dive into the young adult scene more, having only previously experienced the Twilight books before that. And I thought I wanted to give young adult another try. And I've read her other series, which is a Throne of Glass series, which is excellent. I've not quite finished it yet, but this particular series really, really captivated me. This is the one which is about the Fae, and the Fae have got their various courts. You've got Night Court, Day Court, Summer Court, Spring Court. There's all of the seasons and all of the phases of the like day, night, and dawn is there. And it's written from first person from a character called Feyre. And something I really like about Sarah J. Maas is, the way she writes all of her characters, but her female characters as well. They're very, very flawed. They're not she writes them very human, because sometimes you can get these sort of super kick-ass girl characters and they can't do anything wrong, where, her female characters can be arrogant and they can be douchebags and they can be cowards, and it's all they're all very, very human. And all of her characters in these books, like, I was feeling towards I just finished the final book in the trilogy today, and I was feeling like I could potentially die for any one of these characters. And each one of them, I feel like they have their own story, and she's just not, obviously we're only getting this from Feyre's point of view, but they weren't cardboard cutouts surrounding her. They were all very, very detailed characters. And I've been really, really blown away by this whole series. It's very magical. I felt like I was really in this world. And yeah, I think for my first kind of dive into young adult, I'm really, really impressed. Like, there's some really mature stuff that goes on in this, both from like a violence and gore point of view, and from the like bow chicka wow kind of side of it as well. Probably more explicit than I've read in like adult books. So yeah, it's really, really blown me away. I'm kind of looking forward to and dreading finishing the Throne of Glass series, because she's, she won't spare maiming her characters if she wants to. So no one's really safe. But yeah, it's really blown me away, and I'm really pleased that I read it this year. It was a good trilogy.
That's pretty impressive to pull off non-main character development in a first-person narrative, because most of the time you just get to really, really know your protagonist or whomever is the I in the story. And then, like you said, you get a lot of cardboard cutouts.
And actually, the other great thing that she did was really bad stuff went down in the first book that still traumatized the main character, even into like the third book. It wasn't just we beat that big bad and then we've all moved on and forgotten about it. Like, when bad things happened to these characters, they really suffered, and there were the emotional consequences of that. Like, it's a really basic thing, but she was imprisoned under this mountain, and for the entire middle book, she could not go into a closed room. This character couldn't, and she would run from, when she ended up being forced into one at one point, she just ran and she just abandoned her friends because she's like, I can't go in there, I can't face that. And it was, you don't normally get, normally in your fantasy books, they seem to be completely fearless and impervious to any kind of lasting damage. And so I thought it was really amazing to kind of see them all work through this, and they each had their own things that had sort of traumatized them, but it wasn't in like not in a sadistic way. Like, you just got to really see them work through it and kind of make the best out of it. So if they were like, yeah, I can't really go into that small room right now, but I'm working on it, kind of thing, I just really appreciated it. It was very realistic for a book that's basically all about fairies.
Good stuff. All right, people, read more books.
Yes.
Do it. Anyway, and that said, let's move away from books and into the game room. You walk into the game room and immediately take 14 damage. So, Brian, since you're the best person, let's talk about your game room. All right, Brian. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Back at you. You're pretty good too. Anyway, my current obsession in the game room is this trading card game that my brother introduced me to for the Final Fantasy series. That's actually, I think, a couple years old, if not older. But man, is it fun! It's kind of like in between something simple like Keyforge and then something really complex like Magic. It's wedged nicely in between there. There's that deck building element too, which is fun, but it seems to be, from my meager understanding, that there's no real meta that people are chasing. So it doesn't have that sort of Star Wars Destiny effect where you have to have X, Y, or Z or you're going to get rolled by everyone, because that's what's good in the game right now. There are people, I went to a tournament over Christmas time with him, and there were 9 people and they all had a different deck. So that was pretty cool to me. And I just like the way the game works. And it's Final Fantasy, which is awesome. You can have Sephiroth in my hand right next to Cloud, and they could be buddies. Haha, sucker.
Maybe.
But anyway, yeah, that's my current game room love is Final Fantasy TCG. Shelby, what about you?
I'm really hooked on Gloomhaven.
Oh, yeah. Gloomhaven's bombski.
That's just my obsession. And we got to introduce some other people to it over our break back home, which was really fun to show someone else how to play Gloomhaven and give some tips and pointers. And they picked it up so quickly. I was very impressed. We got destroyed the first time we played.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But it was fun to share that joy of a board game, and a very complex board game, and realize how much you've learned about a specific board game by teaching it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a really fun experience. So I'm still all about Gloomhaven, even though it's not a 2018 game or release. And I would also say that's my favorite game of 2018.
Yeah, I would just piggyback on that. Gloomhaven has been my favorite gaming experience of the past year. It's tremendous. It's a great game. It's, again, we've talked about it several times. It's expensive, but it's worth it. Like, I don't know, 1,000,000-fold. It's so much fun.
Also, we got to play Secret Hitler with Brian's family over
Yeah, that was
Christmas break, and it was
a hoot.
a hoot. It was so fun, and it was. I think that people need to get more in the habit of, at these big family gatherings around Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter and times when you're with family, when you're not normally with family from far away, I think it's good to play games instead of sitting down and watching TV or something like that, because everyone has different interests in TV, but everyone can kind of sit down and get into a board game, and you have conversations and you make meaningful connections with these people that you don't normally get to see.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. Like,
It's a great way to
turn
get
off
to
the
know
dumb
people.
Macy's Day Parade and play some board games.
Well, it's a good way to get to know people better, I think, especially if you have new people coming to the table at your family gathering. And anytime you have any sort of family gathering, it doesn't have to be a holiday. I think that's a good way to get to connect with people that are new.
It's a good way to spend time, and to, like you said, you can pull people in easier, I think, instead of someone sitting in a room where everyone's mildly quiet watching something on TV.
Or having kind of like, some drinks and conversation, which is sometimes hard to get people to open up.
Right. So
It's like Avalon, yeah?
Oh, what, Secret Hitler?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
yeah.
So Avalon is...
One of you is Mordred,
Yeah.
and the rest of you are King Arthur's knights. Well, no, there's a Mordred, and then there's a minion of Mordred, isn't there, usually?
Yeah.
You've got to try and work out.
Try and work out who it is. Like, you can have Merlin and stuff. It's the same thing. You got to try and find Hitler, haven't you? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fun.
It's a
I-
social deduction game is like the general idea. There's
Yeah.
several of them, but
It's like you were saying, Shelby, like we've found over Christmas as well, we've been, trying to play board games and stuff like that with our families more, and you kind of see a different side. I mean, our families are pretty small, so we had me, Phil, Mum and Dad on Christmas Day, wasn't it? And we were playing this version of, it's kind of charades, wasn't it? That game in the hat that you
Names
come
in the
up
Hat.
with. Yeah. And you just sort of saw a different side of your parent, because, I see a lot of my parents and everything, but there was a side to them that I had, I will now never forget my dad's John Wayne impression in that game of charades when he had to mime that. That's something that will stay with me forever now, but in like a really good way, and it's, you're absolutely right. We should We should all play board games with our families more often because it's just super fun.
Yeah, like, you know, like we were saying, it's a social deduction game, so you're trying to figure out who's like the bad guy or whatever. And in Secret Hitler, you have people are either liberal or fascist. And my dad, like,
It didn't matter if he was playing liberal or
he
fascist.
just really likes to lie. So, like, he would get liberal, and you're supposed to like tell the truth all the time, and he'd be like convincing half the people that he's Secret Hitler, even though he's a liberal, and we're like trying to take him out, and he's like, haha, I was a liberal. I'm like, Dad, that's not what you do.
That's not how you play the game. But yeah, exactly. It's so funny because you have those moments, and then there's like the really aha moments when Brian's mother, who's just like this saint of a lady, she's so cute.
Yeah,
And-
hearing my mother go, I was Hitler, was really funny. But yeah, play board games. Playboardgames.com.
So what about you guys, your games of the year and what you're playing right now?
So right now, Risk Game of Thrones edition.
Oh yeah, that looks
yeah.
dope.
That was epic.
Check out the video on Instagram, bruh.
Yes.
It's really good, really fun. Soph beat me, which is saying something.
Because I held the North.
We
The
really,
Starks did not lose Winterfell.
The North remembers.
yeah.
Exactly.
I felt that I was in control of the game, and then unlike normal Risk, you could get a Valamugalis card.
Yeah.
As soon as that card pops up, because you're
Okay.
drawing cards, as soon as that pops up,
The
then
game stops.
the game stops and you count up.
Yeah.
Who
Oh,
is in
wow.
And
possession
whoever's
of
winning
more.
at that time. Yeah, so Valar Morghulis, it's drawn towards, it will let you have at least, I'd say,
half the deck.
yeah, before you're going to end up drawing it. But because that's the only thing with Risk. Risk can go on for hours, and we were definitely heading towards stalemate because we'd eliminated the Lannisters from the board because you have a neutral house, which was the Lannisters, so we took great pleasure in wiping them out from the board. And then it was just us two left, wasn't it? And I think we were heading towards stalemate, so I thought the addition of the Valar Morghulis was really helpful.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I had Winterfell, and I never lost Winterfell, and I think that is a sign for the next series. The North remembers.
And yeah, enjoyed that. And then my highlight of game playing. Also, I'm proper into FIFA 19 at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Soph also got me that for my Christmas present. And
Yeah.
I'm currently doing the Ultimate Team option, which is where you play against people online and build your own team created of various soccer stars. And I'm having great fun doing it. There's an app on my phone, which means I can trade at work during my 30-minute tea break and no other times.
Yes, but
Obviously.
how dangerous is that? Starting to incorporate your video games onto your phone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they've been doing that
so-
for a while. It's pretty intense. Like
Yeah.
you could even do it with I think maybe the Old Republic had something. I can't remember.
Okay.
But like Warcraft, Destiny, you can't really do anything with it, but you can like check out your character. All kinds of stuff has been doing.
Yeah, it's kind of like the way the app works as well, and the way this section of the game works is it's like football, like fantasy football.
Okay, right on.
Pick your team, and you can trade players in and out, and it's really, really like addictive. So I'm loving that. And then my game of 2018 is more of a highlight of a period of time where we went on a nice cruise around the South Med. And we had a Destiny tournament on our cruise ship that was epic.
I
So Phil
remember
drew,
that.
didn't you? You drew
Between the two of us.
Yeah, we had 4. Wasn't it? There were 4 round robins of our
Yeah,
different
and then it went
decks.
into knockout stages, and then we
Yeah.
did like best of 3 knockout stages, and by the end it was dramatic.
It was really dramatic. Didn't I win that?
Yeah,
Kylo Callis, wasn't it?
yeah.
Who are now probably going to have to be like ranked to Ubers because they're too strong once you let them get going. But yeah, you're right. That was epic.
But yeah, that was my highlight. I loved playing it, and yeah, hopefully some more board games coming 2019 that will be
Yeah.
enjoyable. You, Soph?
Well, I have 2. 2018 was the year that I finally completed Final Fantasy 15. I basically play one video game whenever they release a Final Fantasy. That's pretty much the only time I play. Usually the Zelda games would make me surface as well, but I just can't justify buying a Nintendo Switch just for Breath of the Wild. So I'm really, really pushing my brother to buy one.
So you
And
can
then
play.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna borrow the Switch once he's like completed the game because he will just blitz through video games. And then I'm hoping he'll just lend it to me for a couple of months. I don't necessarily have to complete a game. I just like to be able to get a feel for it. But apart from Final Fantasy are the only games that I have ever completed the whole thing. From like 8 through to now 15.
8. You
and
didn't
15
start
was
with the
amazing.
best one?
No, because like we never had a PlayStation. So we were
Oh,
like a
dear.
Nintendo. Yeah, we had a Nintendo. We had an N64. Then we had the GameCube because we were following Zelda. And then we started hearing about Final Fantasy. And then I got the PS2 and then bought 8 for that and then 10, obviously. But yeah, so no, I've never actually physically played 7. I've watched my brother play 7. Because we really had our own version of Twitch going when we were kids. Because I did used to sit and watch him play video games all the time and never realising
I actually
What
used
do you
to
think
do
Twitch
that.
was
we
invented?
could have monetized this, couldn't
Yeah,
we?
right?
We could have invented Twitch.
I used to do the same thing because my brother was actually the one that's more into Final Fantasy. I mean, hence him playing the card game and introducing me to
Yeah.
it. But 7 was the one that I played first, and he would watch me. Then he played it. But I don't know, that game's amazing. I'm actually interested now since they're supposedly, air quotes,
Right.
remastering or remaking it. It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts on it based on just
Yeah.
the new one. Ooh,
Yeah.
that could be an episode.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That could be. We've got to yes, that's got P&E episode written all over it,
So
hasn't
Final
it?
Fantasy.
Yeah, the remake.
I'm not going to be playing it.
No, you're not going to play it, but I'm going to play it.
You can sit and watch,
15.
Bill.
Yes, 15 was epic. I absolutely loved it. It could well, I don't know because I have such a issue deciding my favourite Final Fantasy games, so I just don't. But it could potentially have been my favourite. I loved it. You got to spend time and get to know those characters more than any of the other games. There's a lot more downtime with them as well, where they're kind of, well, chilling around the campfire. And which surprised me because normally I like having a girl to play as, but I didn't mind in 15. It was done that well that I was okay with not having a playable female character, which is usually very important to me. But they pulled it off, so well done them. And then the only other highlight for me was we got Arkham Horror, the board game.
Right on.
And I think I kind of getting the vibes that it's a similar with your Gloomhaven game, which we must get. It's, it's a pretty hefty investment. I think it was about £60. Is that right? For
Yeah.
Arkham Horror?
Yeah,
Yes, no, that's not
$64.99,
quite
I
as much.
think.
Yeah, so it's still pretty pricey. But it's the most intense. We had to watch an 1.5-hour tutorial on how to play the game before we could play it because we read the instructions and we couldn't get our heads around it. I was sat there thinking, we're reasonably intelligent human beings here, and I can't work out how to play this board game.
Fortunately, 2 Canadian dweebs showed us.
Yeah, thank you
I love
to
board
them.
game YouTube, like how
Yeah.
to. I usually read the instructions, but it's like a cursory read, and then I'm like, okay, someone teach me how to play this.
Well,
Yeah,
I like it
yeah,
because
exactly.
it's more relational, and it's also you can pick up the pieces and say, "This is this."
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. But this, so Arkham Horror is very, very immersive. We actually now set like spooky music going on, like the Diablo soundtrack or something going on in the background, and I like we kind of do try and create a set like because you can have a little bit of role play with it if you want to, because you're assigned characters, so you can kind of really run with the role of the character if you want. And we have just had so much fun. Like I said, it's a strong 5 hours, maybe even 6 hours play. We've had to take breaks from the game and leave it set up and been like, right, we've run out of time today. We're going to come back to it tomorrow. But I love that kind of, it's that Lovecraft kind of vibe,
Right.
So there's, I just really like it. It's kind of 20s America in this town of Arkham, and monsters are running around. And I love the fact that you can draw a different character. So you've got a different experience of the game every time, and you'll have a different big bad as well that you're playing against, because you draw different ones every time, and they're each in different strengths as well. We've not even fought any of the strongest ones yet. So highly recommend Arkham Horror, but just know that you're making a bit of a commitment when you get it. So yeah.
And at this point, we realize this episode's going on really long, and we want to continue talking about this stuff. So we are going to split this episode into 2 parts. So this concludes part 1 of the 2018 wrap-up.
So yeah, 2018. What a year. And you'll hear more about it next week. But for now, check out our social medias and let us know some of your favorites from 2018. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at PNE_pod.
And a reminder that we have moved away from both the Hyperspace Podblast and the Bright Tree Radio Twitters, Instagrams. So if you want to connect with us, be sure to go through those channels at PNE_pod. If you haven't subscribed yet to the PNE podcast streams on your favorite podcast app, please be sure to do so. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave us a review and let us know what you think so far. Give us some stars, some words. We love reviews. We love responding to you, and we love interacting with you online.
Yeah, and if you want to be all low-key about it, you can hit us up via email at contact@podsandends.com. And if you have some spare time, check out our website, which has one whole thing you can read so far, but we'll have more later, www.podsandends.com.
All right, guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.